What's up guys, it's Compass here with my first YouTube video. Here coming at you with a tutorial on how to build a team, how to pitch, and how to bat and lock on 3 and how to get your game right for the ePremier 12 qualifier. As you may know, we are in the ePremier 12 qualifier right now. One of the biggest events in WBSC history, where the qualifiers will get to go to Japan and compete at the Tokyo Dome. Just a huge event and a huge opportunity. If you don't know, my name's Compass. I stream at Twitch at Compass Up Next, and I am a part of a Discord server, the Power Pros Discord server. That link will be in the description, as well as my Twitch. And there's so many people on there that can answer your individual questions that I don't answer in here. Just so many active community members. Just a very welcoming community. Alright, so if you just got this game, you're looking at this menu. You want to hit custom team, because of course you want a team. Of course you're not going to have all these different teams. So let's say you want to make a team. It doesn't really matter. This is just like your flag you want to show. None of this really matters. Okay, you get your team right here. What you're going to do is you're pretty much going to take off everyone off your team, because all these players are like trash, and these teams that they make you are garbage. And they're worthless. If you go out there with one of those teams, you're just automatically gonna get slaughtered. Alright, let's go down here to the team that I used for the ePremier 12 Week 2 qualifier. Alright, basic rundown for those of you that do not know how the player cards work. Of course, you see the pitch velocity up there. The higher the better. If you look at the aptitude, Unkai is a special pitcher. If they have pink after, that means they can relieve. If they aren't a reliever and they try to relieve, they do get a debuff. And of course you see the control with the D, and the stamina, pretty self-explanatory. Down below is their pitching chart. They could have up to 7 levels of pitching. And their different pitches, their different off speeds, and they could have a special pitch, which Unkai has a special fastball, which we'll get into that later. But he also has a shudo, a slider, and a splitter. You could tell by the little letters. You could tell as you could play the game. Of course, on the right side, you see all their different abilities. We will get into all the different abilities later. And for the fielder, so of course you see the trajectory. That's how high the ball will fly coming off your bat. The hit is your hit cursor, how big your hit cursor will appear. The higher the number, the bigger your hit cursor. Power is pretty self-explanatory. Of course, the higher the power, the harder you hit it. Run speed, self-explanatory too. Arm strength, of course, self-explanatory. Higher the number, harder you throw it. The fielding is like your reaction time. The higher the fielding, the faster your dude's gonna move after you hit the ball. And the catching is basically your error resistance. The lower the number, the more prone your dude is to making an error on the field. Alright, now with the basics, time to go over the most important part, your pitching. In Lock on 3, your pitching is absolutely everything, and pretty much all these top guys are the only guys that are even viable against 99% of players. First pitcher we're gonna go over is Myojin. Myojin throws super fast, has nice control, amazing stamina, but what really makes her is that special pitch fastball. That special pitch fastball has heaviness properties that make it where it's harder to hit a home run. Along with Iron Ball, the perk that also makes it where it is harder to hit home runs. she just takes out any slugger, or I'm sorry, he. And as you can see here, he just throws heat. He just throws absolute heat at you, and you can barely even react, even without the actual stuff. All he has is the changeup, level 7 changeup, which, I mean, could get anyone. When you have a fastball this deadly, you don't need any more off speeds to counteract that. I mean, this is already just so hard to hit. I'm not hitting my zones right now, but we can ignore that. Alright, now Myojin. Myojin might be the most popular pitcher in the game. But if we gotta give the title to the best pitcher in the game, it would have to be the boy Atsumori. Possessed Atsumori. Now, if you just got this game, you're like, hey, where's Possessed Atsumori? Sorry, bud, you gotta play the game a little bit more to unlock him. There's certain players you just gotta play to unlock. Possessed Atsumori is one of them, but he is the best pitcher in the game. You're like, he don't got the abilities. What makes him so special, Compass? Well, you see the special ball? The special ball is something special. If you place it in the top right corner, the way that it breaks, it's like a slider that doesn't break until last second. So if you place it at the top right corner, it is almost impossible to hit without a hitter that has the chaser perk, which we will go more over into when we go into our batters. But let me just show you. Alright, so you see here, that's just deadly. You just look at that. Like, you time that right, it's just impossible to hit. Of course, I can't time it right now, but the best players, they will time this right every single time, get a strike perfectly. You will have no chance of hitting this without a chaser player. That's why chaser players are going to be so important. Keep that in mind. Now, the next tier of pitchers, you have Mileman, which also has a special pitch fastball. He has iron ball. We'll get back to him though. And we have Unkai. These are the next 2 tiers of pitchers. These guys are very similar to Myojin. They aren't quite as good as Myojin, but they are very similar. They both have pitches that have heaviness properties. But the thing with Mileman is, if you relieve him, this Tyrant perk that you see right there, Tyrant takes off a bit of the other team's contact in their power. So it is very effective. But the thing that you trade off with Mileman is, he does not have the power to be a slugger. If you look at Myojin, he has the power to be a slugger. If you look at Unkai, he has the power to be a slugger. And we'll get into all the slugging terms when we get into our batters, because that's when it's going to really start to get important. Some other options that you can use, Doe. Doe is a very good option. Doe has a level 7 cutter. You want to use Doe like you would use the Atsumori that I showed earlier. You just want to keep on spamming that top right corner, and it's very unhittable. It's not as unhittable as an Atsumori, but it's very unhittable. Kiba does not have the properties, the heaviness properties that a Myojin or an Unkai have, even though he has the special fastball. But his special fastball rises a little bit, and it can catch a person off guard, even though he is quite off meta. If you are lower skilled, and just starting out the game and you are not confident in your timing, because I will admit these players, they all require great timing to use effectively. You can use an Asa, which has a downward forkball that is very hard to hit without timing it well. Or you can use Aoba, which has a slider that moves a lot and is very hard to hit. If you want to go into the cheaper options, there is Afro Ikari. Afro Ikari has a special fastball, but is not very good. Basically, his bread and butter is the curveball. You just basically want to throw that curveball over and over again. And if you look at Hakuto and Majoro, they could be viable depending on the situation, but only because of the cutters that they have. And you pretty much have to use them like a Doe or an Atsumori, and they just aren't as effective. They are just more prone to getting bombs sent off of them. Past this, there is no one that is viable against anyone in the game. Anyone below this, you should not be using on anyone higher than 55 PR. Lower than 55 PR, it could possibly work. Alright, these guys would all get rocked. Kagurazaka, he costs 5 right now, but the max curveball, if he were to drop in price, he would be very good. Do not be tricked by this Hakuto. The higher cost Hakuto has level 6 cutter and level 6 forkball. This one has level 4. Very much worse. Kariba is the cheapest person that is viable against a lot of people. And you will sometimes catch a plus 55 PR person lacking with them, just because that sweeping curveball goes so far, plus the low ball self-explanatory. And Dr. K makes a pitch a move more if you are on 2 strikes, so it's just really deadly. But I would not normally recommend her over a 55 PR, because a 55 PR usually knows how to smack her. All these dudes down here are just gonna be like people you use against like C ranks, D ranks, people that are like 45 PR. Personally, I like One. One has a nice curveball. He also has iron ball. Pitches kind of fast. I see a lot of people using Roddy Bright. He has Dr. K and some pretty good pitch velocity and control and stamina. But yeah, like, other than that, most of the time people run a two pitcher lineup, maybe with the third pitcher. And that's pretty much it for pitching. Alright, let's go on to our hitters. Alright, so one of your most important positions is going to be your catcher. And now if you choose to run a 2-pitcher lineup, because pitchers are expensive, running a 2-pitcher lineup is very viable in a 3-inning game. You are going to need some A-tier catching. So what you want to do is, you see on the right side, you see right by versus left-hand pitching, the catcher stat. You need to make sure it's A if you're running a 2-pitcher staff. If you're running a 3-pitcher staff, go ahead, go for a B. Go for a C. I wouldn't quite recommend it. D is like never go for E and under. That's what I have to say about catchers. But make sure for your catcher you are paying attention to that catcher. Alright, Daisuke Dieta, best catcher in the game, but at 9 cost, very expensive. This is where we start talking about our sluggers. He has great power with the 90. He has the B clutch. Clutch kicks in whenever you have a runner in scoring position. So a runner in second or third activates that B clutch, which activates all his stats. Slugger helps you out with your power hits, which you're going to be slugging a lot of the time. And Menace, let me pull up on my phone here exactly what Menace does so I can give it its full effect. Opposing pitcher loses 2 kilometers per hour in top speed, -10 in control, and -15 in stamina while batting. That's a huge nerf. That is a huge nerf. And not even just that. They also lose 10 control and 10 stamina while they're just on the deck. So if they're batting next, the batter before is affected. Like, it's such a good ability. The thing is, Daisuke Dieta is 9. That's just too expensive. Alright. Now you're looking through these, you're like, oh yeah, Kyushu. Look at those stats. He's so good. Look at that D catcher. I wouldn't use him. Alright, Honda. Nice pinch hitter. You see the pinch ability? That also boosts his stats when he's in a pinch hit situation. But look at that catcher and look at those stats. Never put him in as a catcher. Only use him as a pinch hitter. Alright. Let's see. Gobu can be nice if you're running like a 3-pitcher lineup and you need someone at like shortstop. He can play a pretty decent shortstop. If you look down there, you can see all their fielding abilities at their different positions. And he has the slugger ability, but he has a C power, so just be aware of that. He can slug, but it's not very good slugging. Akahara is also pretty good. No slugging abilities, which really hurts. But B clutch with an A catcher ability. The A catcher really saves him. You can make the B power and the forward trajectory work, but it's definitely not the best. Alright, let's see. Who else do people run? Suwano is definitely one of the meta catcher picks right now. With clinical helps you with your contact hitting. You can use contact hitting to set up your small ball, get some people on base, you know, maybe get a 2-run homer, or you could even use small ball and run everyone in. But she has some decent power, some decent hitting. She has clinical, which boosts the power whenever you are contact swinging. She has a decent arm, and most importantly, she has that A catcher, so she's definitely meta right now at 2 cost. Fumito Dieta, Daisuke Dieta's little brother in lore. Only the B catcher, but he can hit. He's got clinical. He's got sprayer. I'll talk a little bit more about sprayer when someone that actually matters with sprayer pops up. But he does have heckler, which I'm not sure the number, but it does decrease the contact when someone's in running position for the other team. So if someone's in runners in scoring position for the other team, it's gonna decrease the contact. Who else do we have? Rokudo is also a meta pick. She does not have the clinical, not the hitting that Suwano does, but she does have the A catcher. She does have the B throwing, although her arm strength is a little less. I would say that B throwing evens it out. And she does have the heckler ability, which I just explained earlier, so it's really up to personal opinion. I see both running around. If you are planning on pinch hitting, I would say maybe go for Rokudo. And the reason I say pinch hitting is all these one guys, not very good, but Kodaka is free, And she has B catcher, which is very serviceable B catcher for the free. For the free. Can't stress that enough. For the free. But for the one cost, Sakai, B catcher, and Heckler, you get that at 2 with a lot better stats, but was very good for a time. And Nekogami, not a catcher, but has that morale ability. The morale ability, it increases all your team stats if your team has more people in good morale than bad. And he has B stealing and B running, which are very helpful, and almost A run speed. So he could be a nice pinch runner option, but there are better pinch runner options that we will get to in a little bit. Alright, first base. First base is a power position. We have a lot to talk about here. Alright, Kiyomoto, one of the best hitters in the game. A hitting, S power, almost 100 power with A clutch, slugger, sprayer, and rally. Slugger, of course, I think I explained earlier, helps off the contact of the power swing just anyway. It just hits farther than what it would have without slugger. Sprayer, it helps with push hits, hits to the opposite direction of the batter, so it helps a lot with your mistime pitches or mistime hits. When you're late on a hit, it really helps in that situation, so that's very good. And rally kicks in when you're in the last inning and you are losing, so very useful. He can be clutch when you need him to. Just so good. Great first baseman, great fielding stats at first base, even though first base is not a position you necessarily need great defense. And he plays a pretty alright third base, but he is meta at third base because that third base is very much good enough, plus the arm strength is very good. With the same price, you could get Sakamoto. Sakamoto is also one of the best sluggers in the game, but just with worse defense. I would not use him at third base. See a lot of him at first base, but he is clutch. He does have the slugger and the sprayer just like Kiyo, but the difference between him and Kiyo is he has clinical. So if you choose to contact hit, Takimoto is going to have a lot easier time, as well as him being just a little bit faster, I believe. Yeah, he is just a little bit faster. Alright, next up we have Sendo. Sendo is one of the scariest hitters in the game. Should keep him at first base, but he is scary. So he has Zealous, which is eager but gold, which is he gets massive boosts on first pitches that are strikes. He has clinical, so of course he can contact hit. Slugger, sprayer, we already went over those. He has the pinch, so actually the meta strategy when you have Sendo is to run a free first baseman and to pinch hit for Sendo as soon as he comes up. Put him like third in the order and pinch hit for him, just so you could get that pinch ability activated. The thing about Sendo is he does have the blunder ability. The blunder ability does take effect in the field. I think that happens with grounded balls, I think. Haven't noticed it too much, so I wouldn't worry about it. And fanned, if you have 2 strikes, your hitting stats are going to go way down. So that's just a reminder. Onuwake is a very good option. I haven't had much success with him, but he has sprayer. He has Homer, which is gold slugger, which is slugger but better. He has that morale I was talking about earlier. Overall, very good. Naito could be good in the outfield, in like the corner of the outfield. We'll get more into like corner outfields later, but does have slugger, does have morale. Edogawa, low contact, if you could get over that. Has a lot of great abilities like setter. Setter is like at the beginning, if there's no one on base, they do get a boost. Pull hit is basically the opposite of sprayer. Pull hit is a lot worse than sprayer because pull hits in this game are just generally rewarded much more than a late hit is. So it's just not as good. And Slam Fam is, if the bases are loaded, he just gets a massive boost. Kirigane, very good for if you want to maybe contact hit a little bit more. Definitely the best defending first baseman. Very fast, very good on the base pass. Nice leadoff option. Very good for 3 costs. Just not, don't expect her to be a slugger. Sanbamatsu, low contact but pretty cheap power. And then here you get to like Furu, like 1 cost, almost S power, but very low contact. So these guys have a lot of downsides. Hakosaki has that menace I was talking about, but that A power, it just doesn't work out like you think it would. He's just a double machine. Here's the free guys. I'll get to the free guys later. Alright, second base. Second base is a very weird position. There is a lot of good free options, so I would just put some free ones on your team. I would start Aseki. Aseki is very good, but I would pinch hit for someone that could actually like has slugging ability. Just get someone that has slugging ability, and then after that you could either put in Nomi, who is really good in the field, or you could put in Teihashi, who's also really good in the field. Either one of them, they're just both very good at second base. All of them are very good at second base, and it just leaves you a free slot to get a nice slugger. Third base. Here we have the best hitter in the game, our Lord and Savior Oda. He has Chaser, one of the best abilities in the game. As I was talking about earlier, that is the only way to counter a good Atsu player or a good Doe player is Chaser. So Oda is just their counter. He doesn't have the highest contact, but still very serviceable, but he has great power, plus that slugger and sprayer. Just overall the best hitter in the game, best player in the game. He can play in the outfield, he can play third base. He's just very good. Do not put him in center field, by the way. Put him in a corner outfield position. And let me put you on to a little bit of some. He a pitcher too. And he ain't like a trash pitcher. He's like, he got iron ball, he got that A heater, he throws heat, and he got that stamina. That's how this 2 pitcher system works. They have Oda, and Oda gets the relief, because he can do it. Regao, very good menace slugger, very nice power, just a little bit too expensive when you have Oda. Shacho, very nice slugger option with nice defense at that third base position. Could go with him if you don't want to go with Oda at third base, if you want to go with Oda in outfield, but I do recommend rostering Oda at all costs, unless you're in some like low cost tournament, of course. Here we have Franken Oda, the original GOAT of the Discord community. The Discord community is going crazy right now seeing him, but if you see, he has S power, 98, with homer and sprayer, just like a beastly hitter. Of course he has that low contact, but like with power like that, he could just have stuff gone. But don't put him in the field. If you're gonna put him in the field, he could pitch the same way as regular Oda, so put him on the mound. Who else do we have? Shogugetsu has menace at 2. Has S power. I mean, he's okay for what he is. I wouldn't really recommend going skimpy on the third baseman. I don't know how much Takeno's gonna cost. Takeno just got added. We are gonna ignore the new players. Alright, shortstop. Shortstop is one of your most important defensive positions. Of course, we have Tomizawa. Tomizawa is a nice batting and fielding option, but at 7 costs, a little bit too expensive. Some people make it work, I don't know. Kamira also pretty decent. All A's with menace. Just doesn't have slugger or sprayer, so not really too much of a home run threat against the good pitchers, but could be a double threat. I wouldn't pay 6 for her. Morikawa, another chaser player. Not too great of a player, but just has that chaser, so that just makes him valuable in theirself. Here we have a real stud right here. Izuyoi, one of the best defending shortstops there is. Of course, has that S fielding. Glover helps them. It gives them a speed boost when going to the ball. She has that A hit with clinical, which helps her get on base so much easier. With Joker and A stealing, so she steals really good. And the Joker ability lowers the control of the pitcher up on the mound if they are on base. So she just scares the pitcher. Like, she's very goated for 4. Very goated. Benitsuro, if you're looking for a slugger option, could work for 4. Not that great in the field, but could work in the field if you don't want to go with a contact option like Izuyoi. Kirasaki, also 4. Pretty good in the field, but not a slugging option. I would rather go Izuyoi. Nakanoshima, much more of a hitting option than Izuyoi, especially with the A clutch. Just not as good in the field, but definitely more of a util player. Can play that second base and that third base pretty decently. Kazunagi, look at all those abilities. It could be useful. Emori is a really nice defensive option at 2 with Glover and A fielding. You might think that the speed is a little bit low, but trust me, she makes plays. Javelin is someone that I've seen get use. Nice hitting option, pretty fast, could be a nice defender. I've also seen Nyepte get used here. Second baseman Nyepte can also play that shortstop, but she's just fast. That's why she gets use. What else we got? Batterai is a very nice option for 1. Has a nice contact. The downside with her is the catching is very low, so you got to take your risk with that just in case she makes an error. Oyama is also a very nice option. Kinda slow, but with the fielding and no errors ever made, she definitely gets the job done. With B hitting, with Rally and Clutch and Victor, all very clutch time stats, she gets the job done. All of these guys, just not worth it. Kamasaka's a new player. We don't have time to test them. They just came out today. Alright, outfield. You have 3 outfield options to fill. Alright, Toy. Just a little bit too expensive, but by far the best fielder in the game. The bat is pretty good, but not 11 points good. But all the S's, just very hard to get a hit on. Vanguard is one of the best sluggers in the game, almost S power, almost A hitting, very serviceable at the corner outfield, has slugger, sprayer, menace. By the way, for corner, I would say the corner outfield does not need a lot to play. Like, you do not need to be that fast or that great at fielding to play corner outfield. It is the center outfield that you really need that defense in, and that's where we get to Kagemi. Kagemi is another player with chaser, almost A power with slugger and sprayer. Very good hitter, very good defender. If you look at that 75 speed with 80 fielding plus a 70 arm strength, perfect option to put in center field. You definitely want someone fast in center field to make sure that you get all them balls, make sure you have the best range possible to get all the fly balls. The thing with Kagemi is he has G clutch, so that means that you have to put them at the very first position in your batting lineup to minimize the possibility that there's someone in runners in scoring position. So no one in second, no one in third for Kagemi. Garcia would be good, but that F throwing really hurts. I would not recommend. Saga is a nice outfield option, nice center field option. You would think that the A power would help, but just not a slugger. Definitely a contact hitter, but if you're into the contact hitting, definitely a nice center fielder. Victor Kohlberg also goes the same way, not a slugger. Definitely a contact hitter, but could be a nice center fielder. Could be a nice outfield or corner outfielder too. Has menace. Pretty nice. Shibuya also has menace and has that power. Just doesn't have slugger or sprayer, but that almost S power. It's just very iffy. I take the chance if you want. I would say that it could work, but I wouldn't feel very confident. Sakagake is very fast with the arm strength. Very nice. Could hit a little bit. But if I were to go with someone for 3, I would definitely go with Murasame. Murasame, definitely the best outfielder defense-wise other than Toy. The problem is she can't hit for all, like, at all. Just no hitting at all. But she does have Laser and Glover. 2 very defensive badges. Just very good in the outfield. Let's see. Ito is a nice contact option. Has that Gambler, which is gold clutch. So if runners are in scoring position, they are gonna have a huge PCI. Satine has Magnet, which is glove on gold. Has A clutch, could be a nice contact option. Now, I know you're gonna see Hino. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, this dude he looks so good for me in the outfield. He's fast, he's got a little bit of arm strength, he's a great hitter. But if you look at that fielding, he ain't gonna make catches for you. That ball comes flying into his zone, he's gonna drop it. Please leave Hino as a DH. Do not let him set foot in the field. Kazanin is a very good pinch hit option because of that Joker ability for one. Definitely the meta pinch runner, I should say. Definitely the meta pinch runner. Could also be someone that you put in the field after. And then there are plenty of free outfielders that you could use. Now, before we go and talk about different strategies, let me talk about these free players. Now, me personally, I stack up every free player on my bench, but let me just talk about some of the useful ones. Alright, Bonda. Bonda is useful because he has B run speed. That's his only use. Cujo kinda throws fast, so if you could use him against like a new player, Cujo could definitely use it. Katori is a good free first baseman to use in front of Sendo. Julius is like a nice first base / third base person that you could use in a pinch and an end game situation because he's pretty good at fielding. Amane, nice pinch runner, a serviceable fielder, especially a corner fielder. Definitely a good player to have. If they aren't selected on my team, Ome is actually a free player, but I just don't like the buzzkill. But if they aren't selected, that just means they're a new player and they will not be free after this week. Teihashi, I went over them, nice second base. Seki also went over them, nice second base too. Daido could work if there are pink mood, could help the hitting stats. Same as Yakuno, could help the hitting stats. Jutsu is a nice hitting option. B power could possibly work as a slugger option as well as clinical. I wouldn't put him in the field. Hasami and Ashino are both clones of each other. They both have B running and 71 run speed. Could be nice pinch runners, nothing else. DJB has a nice forkball. Could be used sparingly, maybe to open someone up. Of course, I went over Nomi, nice second base. Hakata has A hitting, and the G power is actually very useful against a Myojin or a Mileman or an Unkai, any of those. The G power makes bloop so much more possible. Just trust me on that, trust me on that. Nispuro, shortstop under emergency circumstances. Sana has a nice curveball, could find relative success with that curve. Bito is a very nice hitter. I would keep her in your back pocket just in case you are down and you have runners in scoring position. That rally and that clutch added together can make a nice power option. And if you can't get that power option going, that clinical really helps out and can get you a base hit in a dire situation. Of course, we talked about Kodaka, B catcher, nice. Yabeta is probably the best outfield defensively that you could get. Has B stealing and B running, so also a pinch runner option. Just overall a very nice fielder. Could maybe go in center field in a pinch. And Hayaka has a special sinker that can maybe get some people. Alright, hopefully you are able to make a team off that information. Let's go on to some hitting and stuff like that. And before we move on to all the batting and pitching tips, I really quickly just wanted to explain my team and why I use them, just help y'all out with y'all's team. So I do run a 2 pitching rotation against the best players, which is Myojin and Unkai, 2 of the best fastball pitchers in the game. I also do run One against like the lesser skilled players in the game. Anyone lower than about 50 PR, I will use One against them. That's pretty much my pitching rotation. And I like to run Suwano as my catcher. It gives me the opportunity to try to go for a contact hit in case I'm running an Unkai or a Myojin, just in case I want to preserve their stamina through that A catcher. Of course, I'm running Oda out in the outfield. You have to have Oda on your team. Jitsu is a nice free slugger. Kodaka, nice free backup catcher. Of course, I'm running Sendo. Sendo, just one of the best hitters in the game, my first baseman. I do run Shido, a nice cheap outfielder out in center field. Has B speed and B fielding with Glover. Pretty nice option, can also hit in a tight situation with that clinical. I like to pinch hit for my shortstops. I like to start out with Oyama with that defense, that B fielding, and that S catching. And then I like to move into that batter eye and get her to be able to hit for contact in case we go into extras, just because I like having that speed. I also have Vanguard in the other corner outfield just because of his slugging ability. One of the best sluggers in the game. You gotta have him. Amane, nice pinch runner in the situation that I need them to be. Todorki is my morale player and also a pretty decent pinch hitter with rally and a clutch and 73 power. The only thing is her hit is pretty low and the trajectory is only 3. But for one cost with morale, I do think it is worth it. Of course, we're rostering Beto. Kiyomoto runs third base for me, one of the best sluggers in the game. Just one of the best players, should be on almost every team. Yabeta, definitely the best free defensive outfield option. And of course, I got my 3 shortstops right here. Or my 3 second basemen that I talked about. And usually whenever I'm pinch hitting for them, I'm putting in Todorki or one of my pitchers because all my pitchers can hit. And down here, basically just all the free players. Let me go over and explain my batting order for you guys. I do like to start out with Oda. Oda gives me the best chance of getting walked, getting someone on base really early on. And he could slug right out the gate, puts fear right into the opponent, especially if they're running an Atsu or a Doe. I just like to put my best hitter first. Of course, Vanguard is following right after him. Vanguard is my menace slugger, so if you remember earlier, that menace applies to both him and Oda. So the pitcher is going to get less control on a chaser hitter like Oda, which is very important. Third, I'm running Katori. If you remember what I said about Katori, Katori is a good free first baseman that you could run before. Where is he at? I put Sendo at DH, but usually he's not running DH for me. But anyway, let's just say I do it like this. Usually, as soon as Katori comes up to bat, I just pitch hit for Sendo. Then that leads into Kiyomoto. If none of that works out and we got runners in scoring position, I trust in Kiyomoto to send them through with that 8 clutch. Of course, the DH option. Usually the DH option goes to Myojin with that S power. Either you could place her with that pitcher at the DH and have no DH option at all, or you could just put Myojin in there, but you can't put Myojin in there to start out the game until you're actually in a game, just because she doesn't have a secondary position. Then we go on to Oyama. Usually I'm pinch hitting one of my pitchers for Oyama. I do this so that Batter Eye can come in, and I put her early so that Batter Eye can be the contact hitter just in case we go into extras. Then we have Aseki. Aseki usually gets pinch hit for, and then I usually like to put in Nomi unless Nomi's in a worse mood than Teihashi. Either one of them's fine. Nomi's just slightly better in the field, but really I wouldn't allow any of them to hit. You would think Aseki has good hitting with the A contact, but the E speed just doesn't do it. And then what I like to do is if I'm pitching One or someone else, like an Oda, I like to run Suwano in 8th and pinch hit for them so that I could get Kodaka in, since the B and the A catcher doesn't really matter. But if I'm running someone like Myojin or an Unkai that I really want to preserve their stamina just in case I get another high ranked player, I do like to switch out Shido and Suwano and pinch hit for Shido instead. And then I will place Yabeta into center field. That's just the thinking on my team. Usually the pitchers go, if they're like 53 and above PR, 55, I'll pitch a Myojin or an Unkai, whoever's in better mood, better stamina. If they're below that, I pitch One. If they start doing good on One, if they get runners in scoring position, I'll stick an Oda on them. Oda usually stops someone in runners in scoring position. And I think that we're gonna have to end the video for today. The video has run pretty long on all the people. I think that I'm gonna have to make this a 2-part series. 1 part for the team building, 1 part for pitching and batting. So I think I'm gonna end it off here. Remember, all that stuff is in the description, the Discord and the Twitch. And make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see the video tomorrow and more Power Pros content just like this. See ya.